and welcome to Find It. On this Wednesday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern, I've got my Big Brothers Big Sisters sweatshirt on, and I have the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters. Her name is Erin Allsop, and she is a ray of sunshine, a beautiful soul, a beautiful person on the outside too. So you guys are just going to be overjoyed with this tonight. We're going to talk about Big Brothers Big Sisters, but we're going to talk about Erin and her life as well. And hang tight, because guess what? We're going to show a little intro for her, and she will be right back with us. Welcome to the show, Erin Allsop. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you, Debbie. Thanks for having me. It was so
I
sweet.
love your sweatshirt. Cheers to that.
We're all branded.
Reppin'. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited you're here. You and I have gotten to know each other really, really well over the last couple of years, because tell them how we know each other.
Big Brothers Big Sisters of South Central Ohio. Debbie is one of my hype men, my hype women.
Raise the roof. Yeah, because the biggest fundraiser, I mean, you have other fundraisers too, but Dance for Kids' Sake.
Dance for Kids' Sake is our biggest every year. And the 2 years that I've been here, it's been bigger and bigger to be record breaking. And I give you a lot of credit for that, honestly.
Oh, shoot. No, it's the whole community, and you leading it like that, and your heart's into it. It's amazing. But we're going to get back on that. But what I want to talk about a little bit first is you're originally from this area. Mm-hmm. And then, hey, Sean Benson, just saying hello. You're from this area, like the Bainbridge area, which is what, like 30 minutes from here? How far?
About a half hour.
Yeah. Half an hour from where I'm located. But then you went through the school systems here. And then I want your journey from where you then traveled all over the place. Give us some details.
Oh, how long do we have?
I know. Cliff notes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm from Bainbridge, Paint Valley graduate. Swore I would never live in Ross County, Ohio as a teenager. So I moved away. I spent my freshman year of college in Valencia, Spain. And then after my freshman year, I went to the University of Kentucky, where I studied Spanish and German. So my education is in Spanish and German. From there, I moved to Atlanta, where I taught in an inner city high school. I taught Spanish. During my I taught with Teach for America, if anyone is familiar with that program. During my 2 years teaching in Atlanta, I met my husband, who was doing a master's in Missouri. So we got married. I moved to Missouri to follow him. Then his schooling took him to UNC in North Carolina. So I followed him to North Carolina. Then we moved to Richmond, Kentucky, where he got a job, and I continued to teach Spanish. And then when our first son was born in 2006, we decided that we wanted to be closer to family. So that brought us back to Ross County for the first time. My husband worked with my father at a family business in Bainbridge. He sold furniture at the Lloyd Company. And I was a stay-at-home mom for a few years until 2014, when we felt called to ministry. So we in 2016, we moved ourselves and our 3 sons to Valencia, Spain, to work with Christian Missionary Fellowship as campus ministers. We started a campus ministry in Valencia, Spain, for the university students there. There are over 100,000 university students in Valencia, Spain. So we were like right in the middle of them, and just kind of had a hangout place that we could do community events and share the gospel with them. We did that for 4.5 years, and then we moved back to Chillicothe in the summer of 2020.
During the pandemic.
Right during the pandemic. Let me tell you, pandemic in Spain was no joke. We lived in a 900 square foot apartment with our 3 sons, and we were not allowed to go outside, and they took it seriously. So my husband, Erik, would go to the grocery store about every other day, but the boys and I did not leave the apartment for 6 weeks. We were stuck in the apartment with no outside. The most we could do was open the windows and stick our heads out the windows.
Oh my gosh, Erin. And you guys are still married. Congratulations.
Yes, we would move all of our furniture in our living room and have like exercise sessions. And then we did a fun activity with our sons that everybody got 2 pieces of paper, and you wrote down an activity on the piece of paper and wadded it up into a ball, and we put it in a jar. And every night we drew out one of those, like, so we would do that for, 10 days or however many. And every night we would pull out one activity, and we had to do it no matter what. And the person who wrote the activity was in charge, and nobody could complain. So that was kind of our sanity session.
Right. I mean, at that point, like, whatever is on the wadded up ball, we're doing. This is our entertainment.
It was a rule. You couldn't complain. It didn't matter if we were watching a movie that you didn't want to watch. I think I wrote watch a princess movie at one point, and the boys were like, "No, Mom."
Oh, and I mean, come on. The queen of the house gets to watch a princess movie once in a while. With all that testosterone around you. Come on.
Yes, exactly. Well, I needed to introduce them to princess movies. They had to know something about them.
There you go. Exactly. Well, Erin, because you're so, you speak fluent Spanish, why don't you say something to our Spanish-speaking audience tonight?
Hola a todos, espero que os guste mi entrevista con Debbie. Ella es una persona maravillosa, como sabéis, y espero que os guste mucho.
Oh my gosh, so I got me and something very much and hi, and it's so funny, you guys, because sometimes when Erin will send me a text, she'll send me a text in Spanish, and I'm like, I think I understand what that means. And most of the time it's really weird because I can read it and interpret it. But like if I try to talk, I can't, like, it gets messed up in my brain and I can't say it. So that's beautiful. Yeah. You sound amazing when you speak.
Thank you.
I love it. Even if I don't know what you're saying, but you're such a sweetheart. I don't have to worry about what you're saying. I know it's all nice.
It was all nice. It was all nice.
But so that's cool. That's really cool. So you came back during the pandemic, and then a lot of things in your life changed again, not just location, but then you started working for Big Brothers Big Sisters. I really don't even know how that came about.
Well, when we came back in July of 2020, and my husband had a job at First Wesleyan Church here in Chillicothe, and that was kind of his dream job. So he was really excited and happy. I hated leaving what we were doing. I loved living in Valencia. I loved what my job was. And so I kind of like spun my wheels for a while. I was fortunate enough to teach Spanish part-time at New Hope Christian Academy in Circleville, which I loved. The students and the faculty and the families there are fantastic. But honestly, even though a lot of my professional experience is in teaching, I never really felt like a teacher. I always wanted to do something connected to education, but not being a teacher. And so in February of 2021, a good friend of mine, Bill Betson, approached me and said, I have a job that's perfect for you. And I said, okay, great. What is it? Because I was only working part-time and I needed something full-time. He said, President, CEO. And I said, stop right there.
Say, I'm only that of my household. What else do I need to be?
It's like, oh, that sounds big. I don't know about that. He's like, no, just read the job description. So I read the job description, and everything about it was exactly the things that I loved about what I was able to do in Spain. I was able to connect with people on the relationship level and invest in relationships. I was able to connect with the community on support raising or fundraising levels. I was able to invest in kids' lives. So as I read through it, I was like, oh, I really want this. So I applied, and through a few interviews, they offered me the job in April, and I began as soon as the school year finished in May of 2021. And I think I met you like probably my second week in the office.
Yeah. So you and I had connected. So Julie, who was the CEO prior to you, Julie DeCamp, now Julie Violet, who I love as well. And she did amazing too. I just think there's special people on the earth that just, when you involve yourself in a company like this, it's life-changing, not just for the people you touch, but to yourself as well. I know you feel that way, that you feel blessed to be able to help change lives. It's so rewarding. But I can't remember who called who. I think I got a message from you like, hey, I think we should meet. And
I
then I
think
seen
that
you
you showed up at my office, honestly. I'm
I think
pretty
I did just
sure.
show up. I just stopped in.
I remember I
It was
remember
a Debbie DoorDash. Here I
Yeah.
am.
You were in your workout clothes. You came straight from your workout.
Wow. I couldn't even remember how that happened, but we had a nice little chat, and I for sure wanted to get to know you and figure out who's this person taking over this amazing organization. And I immediately got a hold of some people at the school and was like, you guys are going to love her. I mean, we connected right away. I was so happy that we did that. But so then what, I mean, you got in there and then all of a sudden you realized, oh, the biggest fundraiser's coming up. Tell me how that all happened.
I started my first day in the office was like the last Friday of May, right before Memorial Day weekend and everything. And I came into the office and I had a message from my board president that said, you need to start planning Dance for Kids' Sake yesterday. And I said, oh no, I've never been to Dance for Kids' Sake. Most of the years that I even had heard about it, I lived in Spain. So there was no way for me to even be there. So it was a tall order right from the beginning. And then being still kind of in the throes of the pandemic threw us some curveballs that first year. We had a resurgence of COVID, so we had to move it outdoors, and that came with a lot of unknowns, but I feel like we handled it really gracefully. I think that the community was really supportive and really kind of went with it. They complained about it being cold, and it was cold.
It was cold, but my gosh, the sky, we were literally under the stars.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I remember the day before and the night before trying to, oh yeah,
It was so windy.
Sean just said, I loved the outdoor event. We did. And it was cold, but if you could get past that and just warm up, it was a magical evening.
It really was.
And you could see the sun setting and the stars came out. It was a real crystal clear night. It was cold. That's what, no cloud coverage, but it was really, and we had new sound that year, which everyone could hear what was going on.
The sound and video.
The video was just fantastic. And so you did a great job. And, you know, as luck would have it, it didn't rain and the wind slowed down because the night before it was like, what? We're going to all blow away.
The whole 2 weeks before, it was calling for thunderstorms the whole time, and we just kept pushing through. I can't tell you how many hours I spent praying, please, 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 just no rain. And it didn't rain.
It didn't. So your prayers were definitely answered. And it was a huge success. But then let's fast forward. Oh my gosh. Then, okay, so that was your first year.
Have you said that you were the MC of this event?
Yeah. What?
Have you said that you are the MC of this event?
The MC I co-host with Dan Ramey. But, oh my gosh. So then this year, well, not this year now, October 2022 comes along and another glitch happens and we can't get the Ohio University. And you're like, okay, and this is how Erin is, you guys. It's like, I've never really seen her rattled. So she's like, well, not to my face. You've never done it. You may be inside, but you're like, well, we've got to do what we got to do. I got to find a venue big enough and tell the crew, tell everyone listening where we ended up having this amazing event that we have every year. Where was it?
This amazing black tie event was held in a steer barn of a county fairgrounds.
You guys. It was a dirt floor. I mean, a steer barn. You know, I don't know what I was thinking. Clearly, I mean, I kind of live in a rural area. Like you would think that Debbie would know what a steer barn is. When I showed up in my sequin outfit, I was like, "There's a dirt floor."
Yep.
Yeah, it's a steer barn. So, but it was decorated, you know, wonderfully. But we had a little dust action happening. Yeehaw, Julie Palmer, freshman.
It was a little bit dusty, but our crew, our volunteers and my staff did a phenomenal job. That did not look, it might have smelled a little bit like a steer barn, but it didn't look like it.
It didn't. You guys, you want to talk about dressing up a turd? You dressed up a turd. It looked so beautiful. And you know, you had food trucks outside, you know, it all worked. And it was also a record-breaking year.
Yep.
Record-breaking.
Our community raised our community was amazing. Our community raised over $90,000 for this agency.
Yeah,
Incredible.
people can't believe it. They're like, "Where are you from again? How did you raise that much money in a night?" And it's like the community really shows up. This community is, I
Phenomenal.
gotta say it, they're badass.
They
Now,
are.
you won't say that because you don't say bad words, but I do. And so, anyway, that's amazing. So, what are we doing in 2023? Is it going to be back at Ohio University? Are we booked?
We're back to the Shoemaker Center at Ohio University. So
Oh.
it's set. October 14th, 2023, Shoemaker Center. We'll probably have to make it a little bit more exclusive because we won't have as much space because we're limited by 4 walls. If I could guarantee that there would not be rain and weather, I would absolutely do it outside again. I loved it being outside, but I can't handle the stress of the weather.
It's so stressful. So stressful. It was like, I couldn't even imagine what you felt when I also felt like, what are we going to do if it rained? But it didn't. So it was a beautiful event. That's one in the books, baby.
So you have it on your calendar, right? October
14th. And I want everyone else to mark their calendars. And definitely, if you can't attend, you can be a sponsor, right?
Yes,
you can sponsor a table and have your name in the center of the table and in the program and on the huge screen up front. So anyway, keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But so you've done an amazing job, and it's been awesome getting to know you. And I'll put this as just, I didn't pull up any pictures from 2021, but this is this year with Dan Ramey.
Yep.
And I loved how you put that top with that skirt. That was really cute.
Thank you.
So anyway, let's talk a little bit more about Big Brothers Big Sisters and what it means to you and what it means to our community and how you match people with kids and the definition, because behind the scenes, guys, before we came on, we were talking to my producer, Lynn, and she and I were like bigs, littles, and Lynn's like, littles, what's that? So explain what it all means.
Okay. So at Big Brothers Big Sisters of South Central Ohio, our mission is to create and support one-to-one mentoring relationships with adults and youth. And our goal in all of this is that all youth achieve their full potential. So the way that we talk about it is bigs are our adult volunteers and littles are our youth in the program. We enroll children between the ages of 7 and 14, and then they're allowed to stay in the program until they graduate or turn 18, whichever one happens latest. And so right now we have 36 matches. That's when we have a big connected with a little in a one-to-one mentoring relationship. And we also have about 30 kids on our wait list who are waiting for their volunteer big to find us and come into the program so that we can match them. Most of the children that we have in our program are facing some sort of adversity in their life. A lot of them have issues at home. They live in a single parent home or they live in a non-parent home. They have parents who are incarcerated or dealing with addiction or abuse. A lot of times they have family history of poverty, and we're just trying to give them the extra support so that they can break these cycles, so that they know that there's an adult in their corner and that somebody cares about them and that they can make different choices than what they have seen in their lives around them. That doesn't always have to be the case. It can be anybody. We do have a couple of littles in our program who have a pretty good home life, but maybe they're living with grandparents because of whatever situation, or maybe they're just one of 7 or 8 siblings, and there's just not a lot of individual one-on-one attention. And so we do have one family that has, I believe, 7 children in the home, and 4 of them are in our program because the mom just wanted some extra one-on-one attention for each of them, because she realized that she just doesn't have time as a working mom with so many kids. She doesn't have a lot of time to individually dedicate on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. And so I love that adults are out there that are willing to ask for help, because it really is all about using the resources around you. And we always say, it takes a village. I mean, I've learned that as a mom. I learned that in other ways when I was a kid growing up. My parents always seemed to know like what was happening, what was going on before I would get home, even because of the village that they had built around them. So we love to be part of that village for a lot of parents out there who are trying to do the rest to raise their kids.
Well, you know what, Erin? I agree with that. Like, yeah, a lot of the kids who are in it probably really need a big. Now, how old or how young? What's the youngest a big, meaning your sponsor that's paired with a younger under 14-year-old? What's the youngest age a big can be?
So for our community-based program, which are the numbers that I just talked about, for our community-based program, the youngest that we enroll is 21 years old. That's just so that they are adults and that they kind of have a steady lifestyle and rhythm and everything, that they're not super transient at that point a lot of time. But we also have a school-based program. We are in various schools throughout our 5-county region. And in those school-based programs, we have high school students acting as the bigs. So those are sophomores, juniors, or seniors in high school. And it's a great program for them too. They're able to earn community service, leadership skills, and just learn that it's good for them that they even can give back to their community in their school.
I love it when schools, when districts adopt the big brothers, big sisters where the kids can be bigs, because you know this, Erin, the students at the city school district that I'm involved in, some of their best memories are being a big to a kid who really needed a mentor. And
Yeah.
it was impressive to read the stories that these older children,
Mhm.
young adults, had written about their experience, because they thought that they were just going to give, support to the little. And what ended up happening in many cases was they also got something from it. And it surprised them that they felt so much reward. And I think our kids these days really need to put themselves out there and learn how to give to other people too. So
And
I love that program.
absolutely. And it really is something that you have to practice, whether
Mhm.
you're a teenager or an adult. It does take extra time, and it is something that you have to commit to. So it's just like anything, any New Year's resolution that you would make. You have to practice it and you have to be intentional about making time and doing it. And then it becomes just part of your normal routine and part of who
Mhm.
you are, even, which is really
Yeah.
cool.
Well, Erin, another question I have. Well, one statement though I want to make is, even like a kid who's really uber shy,
Mhm.
introverted, and really has trouble in school connecting with other kids, don't you think having a big would be really, it would make an improvement for them too?
I actually have a very personal experience about that one with that one. My son this year is one of our bigs at one of our local schools, and his little is extremely, extremely shy and introverted. And so each week I kind of ask my son about how things are going with his little. And just this week he said he finally is starting to open up, which is great because he told me that the caseworker who's in charge of the school program gave him some hints and some tricks about how to ask questions and what questions to ask to get his little to feel more comfortable and open up, which is just, it was a great example of, yeah, it really is making a difference in that little's life. But also, I loved hearing from my son that one of my staff is doing such a phenomenal job in guiding those teenagers because it's
Wow.
hard to be a teenager too. Sometimes you're
Well,
weird and
that's
awkward.
Well, yeah, that's true, that because you're going through an awkward stage and you're with this shy kid and you're like, what we're going to sit and look at each other.
Exactly, and they're boys too, so you know.
Yeah, that's even less verbal. Okay, so what I'm excited to hear, like, give us a story, a success story about a match, a adult that's been paired with. Don't let me forget this either. I want to talk about why there's 30 kids that are on a wait list to get a big, who really desperately want a mentor and can't get one. Let's talk about that in a minute. But first, let's hear a success story. I love this stuff.
I love success stories too. So my favorite one recently is one of our littles who graduated from the program last May, called his caseworker in the fall just to give her an update. They successfully closed their match, but he wanted to give her an update that he had graduated from basic training, that he was studying engineering, and that he was moving on to his next position with I think it's the Navy, if I remember correctly. But he gave so much credit to his big for instilling discipline and into his routine and for encouraging him to stay in school and study and get good grades. This kid when he was in middle school and early high school, he was in danger of failing and not graduating at all. And he ended up graduating from high school with honors.
Wow.
He gives a lot of credit to the structure that his big provided and just that person in his corner that he knew he wasn't going to get away with bringing home F's on his grade card because his big was going to ask him about it and say, well, what's going on? Why is that happening? So he had that accountability from somebody who he had built trust with. And cool. I love that he's out there in the world. He's moved away from the state of Ohio for now, but who knows what he'll do when he comes back or if he comes back or what he'll do wherever he is. I think it's fantastic.
Ooh, that gave me chilly bumpies. I love it.
Exciting.
So what type of investment of time and energy and what do you have to do to become a big?
The enrollment process is quite extensive, mostly because we're looking to make sure that the people who are coming to us are in it for the right reason. We put child safety first and foremost. We want to make sure, it's a lot of liability to connect this adult who we may or may not know yet with a child and say, okay, go be a good influence. So we do a lot of interviews. We do reference checks. We do background checks. We have the in-person interview with them. We make sure that we contact other youth serving organizations if they have experience in that. And then we get to know them a lot with their personality because we want to also make sure that in addition to being a person who is fit to be a role model, we want to know who they are and what they're interested in so that we can connect them with a little who has similar interests so that they have an easy time of hitting it off in a positive relationship.
Well, I think then you just answered my question about why there are so many kids waiting to be matched. Is that it? Do you have people currently being investigated? I don't know what the right word is. Investigation. Going through the process to become a big, or you just really have this many kids and not anybody wanting to participate as a big?
It's the answer is complicated, I would say. The truth of the matter is it's a lot easier to find kids whose families or schools have referred them to want services than it is to find adults who are willing to give up a little bit of their time and invest. It's scary to make that commitment because you never know what's going to happen in 6 months in your life or a year in your life. But the short answer is we just don't have enough adults that have approached us to volunteer. So we need more.
Okay.
Now, that being said, over the past year, in 2022, we made 19 new matches, 19, which is more than I looked back in our records back to 2011. And the most that had been made in any one year from 2011 to 2021 was 9.
Okay.
So that tells you a lot about our community, that they are stepping up, that they are coming and saying, hey, I want to do this. I think this is a good idea. I think it says a lot about my staff also that we are getting our name out there. I can't tell you how many people said, I didn't know we had a Big Brothers, Big Sisters. So it's partly our fault too, and our responsibility to bring awareness that we are here, that we are serving our youth, and that we do need adults out there who are willing to volunteer.
So I don't know if you know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask you, and you can tell me you don't know. But I bet you do. Is Big Brothers, Big Sisters in every large city and at least in every state?
I'm not sure if it is in every state. I believe we have, I can't remember the exact number. I just saw a map of Ohio, and we are in most of the counties in Ohio. Some agency serves almost all of the counties in Ohio. I think it's in the mid 200s across the nation.
Okay. So like, for instance, do you know if like our like Columbus, Cincinnati, Cleveland, like in our Ohio area, because you have a large territory.
Yes.
So
So
you're how many schools? I mean, I'm just doing that for
our territory covers Ross County, Pike County, Pickaway County, Fayette County, and Highland County. So
I
we
mean, that's
cover
fine.
five counties. But geographically, that's a huge area. If you're familiar with Ohio, is a very, very large area. We are a subsidiary agency of Central Ohio, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central Ohio, which is located in Franklin County, and then they also serve a couple of the adjoining counties. Um,
But in Columbus, like let's just say Columbus, for instance,
mhm,
are they also partnering with school systems? They
mhm.
are. So,
Yes.
there could be, because I was just curious because I have a lot of friends in Columbus area that have teenagers that if they could listen to this and encourage their kid to be matched, because I'm telling
Absolutely.
you, what a great thing to do. Like I would have loved to have been a big when I was in high school. Maybe it would have helped me be more on track too. It's like an accountability, not
Mhm,
just the younger kid, the little
mhm.
wants to feel like, oh gosh, I don't want to let my big down. But then the big also then will have accountability too. Like I want to lead a good example for my
Right.
little. It just is, it's a good balance there, I would say. Um, but when you say like if you say you go through the process and you're selected, yes, we would love for you to be a big, you've checked all the boxes, we've checked you out. And then what is a big required to do? I mean, you can always do more than you're required, I'm assuming.
Absolutely.
Right. What's the bare necessity to be a big?
We ask our bigs to commit to 1 hour a week on average with their little. So a lot of our bigs will, instead of doing weekly, they'll try to do something a little bit longer every other week. Some of our bigs just pick their littles up from school 1 day a week and take them and work on homework or get dinner, and then take them home. So the minimum, though, that we request is 1 hour a week.
Okay. Well, I just think that, you know, I think people may assume that it's a huge investment of time. And I think that when weeks allow you to have more time, you can spend that with them, but it's not like you're not going to be reprimanded or kicked out because you
No,
would spend an hour,
right.
for lunch one day and like really listen and engage with the child, the youngster and all of that. So that's good to know. I mean, like all of these things that we can, talk to other people about and get the
Mhm.
word out. I mean, I adore you, Erin, but I also want you to be able to use your voice on this platform. And hopefully every podcaster will have you on to like get it out there so people understand what is this Big Brothers, Big Sisters. You're giving a perfect example of what it is and why we should all be involved in some way, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I truly, truly believe in the power of relationships. I think that that's the only way that we can truly affect change. And so we see in our community different issues. The only way that we're going to make a change, a positive change for the future is to invest in the lives of our youth. And this is a fantastic way to do that at a very minimum cost, honestly, an hour a week. We're all busy. We all know that, but it's only an hour a week. And we always tell our volunteers that you don't have to do something extravagant or above and beyond. You can simply invite that child into your regular routine and into your family, even if you're a family, and just invest in them so that they know that they have somebody who they can trust, who is setting a positive example, and somebody that they can go to when they need help.
Mm, my gosh. And we just don't realize
Mhm.
how much a little bit of attention that we give people, what it means to them. Sometimes you just don't know. And these kids are yearning for someone to just listen to them and pay attention to them.
Absolutely.
Um, so what we're finding it. We're finding matches tonight, Erin.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
I know. Wouldn't that be amazing? Oh my gosh, you guys. I hope you guys that are listening, there's a ton of people who've been listening, so hopefully you guys will consider it. Um, I want to ask you, because we are getting ready to wrap it up. but there's two more things I for sure want to ask you.
Okay.
One, is there a story you can tell us that someone desperately needed matched or currently, and there's no one there for them, or some story? Maybe we did the good story, which I'm obsessed with, but on every end of this, right, there's something that doesn't work out. Do you have any?
Honestly, just recently, we've had quite a few of our kids who have been struggling with mental illness, and other anxiety and self-harm issues, which makes it really difficult. A couple of those matches have closed because the volunteer was experiencing difficulty connecting with the family and connecting with the child. And because of that, their mental health was suffering, which we hate to hear. And of course, we don't want that for anybody. But it just goes to show like what the last 2.5 years has done to all of us as a culture, and how important it is to have the people around you that you can trust and that you can lean on, because we all have those down moments. And so these kids are absorbing what they're seeing in their families, what they're seeing in their schools, what they're seeing with their friends, and they don't always know how to process everything that they're experiencing around them. So it makes it that much more important to have an adult around that can help walk through those situations with them. I can think of two girls, especially in our program, that have just been acting out. They've experimented with substance abuse. They've experimented with self-harm. And we're really trying to focus on them and pour into them so that they know that that's not going to help solve their problems. And so I mean, honestly, I just hope and pray that we can be a light to them and that we can support the volunteers who are in the program who are matched with these kids, so that they can continue to support these kids so that they don't do something rash or undoable.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I saw my sister type in a message thanking you, and she has not been a big, but she's been a mama bear to a lot of kids who have needed, through her church, that have needed a mom, and I'm so proud of her too.
Absolutely.
So thank you too, Sissy.
That's
Um,
that's one of those things. Sorry to cut you off.
you
I
gotta get in there, Erin. You
one
know.
one of my I've been talking with Erin Givens at Paper City Mentoring Project, another mentoring agency in our area. And we've really focused on the importance of mentorship. You don't have to be a big to do what we're doing. You don't have to be a volunteer with Paper City to be mentoring a child. Teachers are doing this, coaches are doing this, youth pastors and volunteers are doing this. And the important thing, I want you all to come and be bigs for me. But the important thing is that you are investing in the lives of these youth, because they are the vulnerable ones that need it. And they are going to be, I mean, they are our future. I mean, it sounds cliche to say, but if we're not investing in them now, we're going to be dealing with the consequences later.
That, I mean, oh my gosh, that is exactly right, Erin. That is exactly right. Um, and yeah, I don't even know how to expand on that. It's just perfectly said. Um, and the other part of this is, and I love that you said, this is what we need to do. Even if you don't become a big, you can invest in someone by giving them the attention or whatever. And that just speaks volumes about who you are too. Robert Broker is typing in, to feel hard by one person, just that will save lives. To feel worthy, to feel seen, to feel like you matter. When we all need to know we do matter, but there are times people feel like they don't. And just to have someone invest a little time and energy into them
Absolutely.
is amazing. So, I guess then what I want to ask you, because I ask all of my guests this, and it doesn't have to be finding it like in Big Brothers Big Sisters, but in your life and that you've lived thus far, what have you found, Erin, that you can tell us to inspire us to find it too?
Um, Can I say that I found Jesus?
Yes, of course.
I mean, honestly, that's the answer for me. I found Jesus, and I want to be a light to the world so that people know that there is hope and that you can find joy. That's one of the things I love about my position here is that I feel like I am able to be a light. I'm able to be something here in little old Chillicothe, serving 5 counties in Ohio, serving these kids who other people may have forgotten about. But if they see a light here, maybe they'll realize that it's available to them too. And the more light that shines around, the brighter our world's going to be.
Yes. And you are a light. Even I'm just thinking when I introduced you, it just popped into my head. You're a ray of sunshine. So you really are. I mean, you feel your energy. I know everyone watching and listening to your voice and the sincerity that you have. And yeah, you are a faithful, spiritual, Jesus, love God, the whole, and that's part of the attraction to you is because of that. You feel it when you're around you. You truly do. So you are a light, girlfriend.
I hope so.
She found it. She found it.
I think I love God, love people. I'm not perfect. I mess up. And some people might think, oh, really? But you wake up every morning and try again.
Were you raised in church, Erin?
I was, yep.
Did you ever back away and come back?
I did.
No, I have found that happens a lot with people who are raised in church and do.
Yep,
Real quick, I know I just could talk to you forever, but could you give us a little overview of that?
I had a little snippet of like high school that I rebelled a little bit. I would have always called myself a Christian, but I was not taking my faith seriously. And that's part of my story about why I went to Spain for my first year of college. My parents basically sent me there to get me away.
Yeah.
And it sounds really weird, but my realization was that when I was sitting on my bed in the house where I was living in Spain as a college freshman, and my high school Spanish teacher had given me a Bible it was bilingual. So one column was English and beside it was Spanish of the same thing. And as I was reading my Bible just back and forth, I realized God is speaking to me through this in both languages. God sees me wherever I am. I can't escape it. And He's bigger and more powerful than anything I know and anything I've ever experienced. And so I want to live in line with that. And the calling on my life at that point was to love God and love people. And so I want to invest in relationships as well as I can so that other people know that God loves them.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Erin, for shining your light. Everyone was piping in saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. You are a light. You always will be. And we're blessed to have you.
Thank you.
So anyway, we're going to wrap this up. I appreciate your time. And please, everybody, look into Big Brothers, Big Sisters. I know we have listeners from all over the country. So if you're interested in this and being a help to for our future generations to come, check it out. See if you have Big Brothers, Big Sisters in your area. And if not, like Erin said, just try to be a source of encouragement and love for everybody you're around. And with that, let's say good night. And we will see you again at the same time next Wednesday where we find it together. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you.
Bye.
That floats around me, keeping me